Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar, Rethinking Patient Dining. My name is Liz Oba, and I will be your host today. Just a little bit about me. I've been with Thomas Cuisine for 7 years. I am a registered dietitian, and I am currently serving as our company's first Real Food Mission Ambassador. In this role, I have the amazing opportunity to help all of our partner accounts bring Thomas Cuisine's real food values into practice by guiding and providing framework and resources, anything they need to serve wholesome and nourishing options to patients and guests. Before we jump in, just a few housekeeping items. We will have time for questions at the end, but if any come up throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the Q&A or the chat function. Second, we will be sending out this presentation as well as the slide deck to all participants after the conclusion. We will also be sharing a survey because we would love to get your feedback on today's webinar. So with that, I will go ahead and set the stage for our discussion. We will be talking about 3 focus areas today. First, how real food can positively impact clinical outcomes. Next, how the type of service you provide affects patient perceptions. And third, what a patient-centered program actually entails. Guiding us through this journey today, I have the extreme pleasure to introduce Lynn Daly, that you see up on the screen and in some little box on the webinar screen, I'm sure. Lynn has been with Thomas Cuisine for 15 years. Throughout that time, she has been an operator, a district manager, and she is now serving us as our Senior Vice President of Operations. As a dietitian, Lynn brings such a valuable real food as medicine perspective to everything that she touches, and I know she is very excited to share more of that and how it affects patient care today. Lynn, are you ready to take it away?
I am, and thank you so much, Liz. That was just a nice introduction. I appreciate it. But I want to level set with everybody because today I do want to make this interactive as possible. Sometimes webinars, I just don't want it to be slides. And so we are going to incorporate some polls. We're going to incorporate some videos. And I really want to ensure that if you've got a question, please throw it in the chat. Like Liz says, we'll try to answer what we can at the end of the webinar, but if not, we certainly have a means to be able to connect with you one-on-one afterwards if that seems more fitting. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off the webinar with a polling question. So please get ready. You'll see a poll pop up here on your screen momentarily, and be excited to watch the results come in.
We have 59% say that A, improving patient health outcomes is the primary factor. Second was boosting patient satisfaction scores. And third was cost management with about 18%.
Oh, that's awesome. And you know what? I'm going to tell everybody there was no right answer. So, but what's important for me is to understand really what's important to you. But the beauty is if you answered improving patient health outcomes, you're going to learn about that today. If it's talking about improving patient satisfaction, you're going to learn about that as well today. Enhancing staff engagement and cost management are all a part of this patient-centered dining program. So good news is we're going to be able to fulfill all of your wishes and wants for the program. So to get started, I really want to start off with the reality, the why. And today we face a stark reality in healthcare. The rising prevalence of diet-related disease not only impacts our health, but also places an immense financial burden on our healthcare system. From diabetes to heart disease, the cost of managing these conditions is skyrocketing, and it's time to address it. I wanted to incorporate a quote that I love, and it's a quote from Anne Wigmore. And it says, "The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest forms of poison." So to start off, many of the most chronic diseases in America stem from lifestyle habits such as diet. As you can see on the slide, I have some stats to the far right, and I want to walk through those. So about 1/2, actually it's up to about 60% of all Americans have one or more preventable chronic diseases. many of which are related to poor quality eating. These include, again, I've already mentioned them, but cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, cancers, even bone health. 4 million annual deaths occur from chronic disease. And ultimately, 50% of them are diet related. So when you look at this bottom, we've got little lines to highlight it. $4.3 trillion a year is spent on healthcare in the United States for the treatment of diseases where diet is a major factor. Another interesting stat, and I didn't put it on the slide, but I want to share it because I just read it the other day, is that 32% of patients are malnourished. 23% of them eat less than 25% of the food provided during their hospital stay. The beauty is today, together, we're going to learn on how we can change this. Okay. 1 second, please. My system's a little bit slow. Okay. So what I do think is as we begin to explore the role of real food in healing and satisfaction, I think it's very, very important that we understand the ways to improve the hospital food experience for patients. I think we need to walk through, and if you just bear with me, I want to walk through the evolution of patient dining and how the model has shifted from a traditional model sense to that of where we need to go, which is a future of patient-centered meal service. So to start, the traditional food service delivery model was really intended and structured in a way that meal service was more about consistency, efficiency from back of the house, and not really as much about the patient experience. Key aspects of it, and it's still used today, would be preset meal times, predetermined menus. Typically, these meals are delivered in room by the nursing staff. So some of the challenges with this too would be it's a high waste model, and it really does limit the individual preferences. And frankly, it's a very minimal service approach. Now, moving on to the evolution, many of you may have heard of or actually have worked with or used today a room service model, which is used with a call center. This approach originated because it was an attempt to focus on restaurant-style dining while adding a little flexibility to meal times, kind of similar to room service in a hotel. The challenges to this is that there's very minimal multidisciplinary collaboration, and it really doesn't focus on that high touch model of service and relationship building that we need today. That leads me into the patient-centered meal service approach. Patient-centered meal service with a real food focus. This is where the future's at, everybody. This is it. This personalized, holistic approach to meal service is what we at Thomas Cuisine are acting upon today. It focuses on patient engagement with personalized dining. It's relationship and service focused. So I want to lean in. Let's learn a little bit more about it together. So as you can see on the screen, we have a visual there that shows 3 circles that all intersect. So a patient-centered dining model with this real food approach it's our holistic approach to patient-centered dining, and it's built on the 3 pillars. There's real food, patient-centered service, and a collaborative multidisciplinary approach. We believe in serving meals made from whole ingredients, cooked from scratch, made to order, some call it a la minute, ensuring that every meal is nutritious and delicious. Our patient-centered model, it really does focus on tailoring the care to the individual along with their individual needs and preferences. And this helps create this amazing, positive, and memorable dining experience. We all know food is so much more than just the food itself. It's about the holistic approach. It's about the experience that we get with dining with others. Our model fosters collaboration, and we ensure that our patients receive the best personalized care possible. Again, it's more than just the food alone, but a holistic approach, which also involves the psychosocial things that we all experience and associate with meals or those things that can affect intake. The reality is there's loneliness, there's depression, And these all directly affect the nutritional intake of us, whether we're in the hospital or at home. Having a friendly face visit you throughout the day and get to know you as a person makes all the difference in the world. So before we lean into some more specifics about the program, I love data. And I think that data really helps relate on, does this really provide outcomes? So let's talk impact. We're going to start from the left to the right. And I want to first talk about the impact on patient outcomes. I shared a statistic earlier regarding the significance of malnutrition and the need to improve patient intake. Studies have revealed, and actually the study that I'm going to reference was a study from the Journal of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, that a patient-centered food delivery model with a focus on real food increases overall intake and nutritional status. Here's the kicker. The study actually showed that there was a 22% increase in overall intake, along with just alone protein consumption increased by 27%. That's amazing to me. So regardless, you can see the impact that it can make in outcomes. Now, as we go to the next pillar of overall satisfaction, we at Thomas Cuisine, when we transition from traditional food models to what we call our unit host, is what we call our patient-centered model, we consistently experience a positive impact to overall patient satisfaction. Now, to support that, research shows and also reveals that those transitioning from a traditional model may experience up to an 18-point increase in their patient satisfaction scores. That to me is also remarkable and really hit home to me. Another component that we're going to learn today is about the team engagement and collaboration. So according to the Journal of Parenteral and Enteral Nutrition, about 40% of hospital patients experience improved nutritional outcomes when the food service teams collaborate with dietitians and other caregivers to provide this collaborative, multidisciplinary approach and really personalizing the care to the patients. So that's what kind of front and center to me. I think that really means a lot. As we lean over to the next pillar of operational cost efficiencies, contrary to popular belief that when people hear of this model, they assume it's more costly. Our experience tells us a whole different story. By prioritizing whole ingredients and scratch cooked meals, we see a general waste reduction and our tray cost overall decreases. As far as supporting external research, the findings have shown a potential reduction in food waste by 17% and potentially a reduction in tray cost by up towards 15%. I mean, of course, when we experience this in our business, it really depends on the starting point. So I would have to say that varies. Just depending on what we have to start with, but that is something that is generally experienced in the industry. So I thought that data was really important to share before we get going. Okay, so creating memorable experiences was the one pillar, and I'm going to one of the three pillars, and I want to start there. So I want to kind of describe to you a little bit of what it looks like. So we call in our unit host model, we call them dedicated unit hosts, and they are our wonderful team members who support the patient care. So dedicated unit hosts and bedside ordering have consistently shown improvements in the food intake and patient satisfaction compared to the traditional methods and even the room service call center method. This assistance and guidance that we can provide during meal orders can really increase the personalization, the engagement, and we can get like really good accuracy and consistency of the meals. Now, here's an activity I want us to all do. I want you can close your eyes, or you can just think through this as I kind of walk through the lens of a patient, okay? So imagine you've got a patient, and patient's name is Alex, who's just been admitted to the hospital for a prolonged stay. From the moment Alex arrives, he's greeted by a dedicated host. Her name is Jamie, who's assigned to ensure that Alex's dining experiences are comfortable and as personalized as possible. Here we go. Jamie takes the time to introduce herself and learn about Alex's likes, dislikes, dietary restrictions, and any specific preferences he may have. This initial interaction sets the stage for a relationship built on trust and understanding. Jamie explains that she will be helping Alex select his meals throughout his stay through bedside ordering and really allowing them to get to know each other. So here's the next part. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of Alex and the patient and understand what he feels. So throughout Alex's stay, Jamie, the unit host, visits regularly, not just to take the meal orders, but to stop in, engage in a friendly conversation when there's time, making Alex feel valued and cared for. Jamie's familiarity with Alex's preferences means that she can suggest meals that he might actually enjoy. And they can even she can anticipate the needs before Alex even has to ask. For instance, knowing that Alex prefers a lighter meal in the evening really allows Jamie the opportunity to know the dinner options presented and what his preferences may be. One of the standard features that I really want to focus upon is that the personalized service is a flexibility in meal times. Alex no longer, as a patient, has to adhere to rigid meal schedules. Instead, Jamie coordinates meal delivery at the times that really suit his routine and comfort. I mean, simply whether or not it's a medical procedure out to test or the fact that, he's in the hospital, he just may need some rest and chooses to eat later. That's what this model provides. As the days go on, Alex notices the positive impact of this personalized care. The meals aren't only nutritious and delicious, but tailored to his tastes, making his hospital stay so much more pleasant. By the time Alex is ready to be discharged, he reflects on the experience, which relates to the positive patient outcomes, and that really the genuine care that he was really treated more as a guest and felt less as a patient. So again, just reimagining our role in patient-centered care, we found that creating this collaborative experience and involving unit host teams with a multidisciplinary approach allows for improved communication and response to patients' needs, and frankly, even helps alleviate risks that may incur with the patient. So this is the second pillar that we want to talk about, is really how does this multidisciplinary approach work? Simple things like the food service unit host team member giving a heads up to nursing that the patient may be complaining of feeling like they're choking on solid food, or communicating with the dietitian that the patient seems a little confused yet about his or her diet restrictions upon discharge. They're getting ready to go home, right? These small little interventions can truly make a huge difference in overall care. It brings dietitians together, food service teams together, other healthcare professionals together. The beautiful thing is I want to just tell you all that I, a few years ago, had experienced myself implementing a unit host patient-centered model in a hospital. And I knew about all the wonderful, tangible benefits of the program, but there was one thing that I was delighted with, and it wasn't something that was directly, thought of at the time. And it was really the matter of food service team member engagement. What I experienced is, and I always hated this when they said this, but food service employees would commonly say to me, well, I am just a food service employee, or I am just the one who delivers their meals. And I always used to say, no, you're so much more than that. And through this process, they felt like they were a part of something bigger. They felt like they truly had the ability to affect the outcomes of the patients that they serve. And to me, that was a surprise and delight. And now we recognize that ongoing as we continue to roll out these patient-centered models with real food across our company. So the next little pillar that I want to talk about is near and dear to all of our hearts within Thomas Cuisine. And that is how real food can be medicine. So, decades of research and clinical outcomes have shown that a healthy diet of whole foods amplifies prevention, treatment of disease, healing, overall wellness, longevity. I could go on and on. There are so many benefits to real food. Our holistic dining model includes that of only high quality, fresh ingredients combined with incredible culinary talents, along with really building beautiful, nutritionally balanced menus. At the heart of our approach, I mentioned it's near and dear to our heart. So, at the heart of patient dining is our commitment to this real food and the integrity of the ingredients we use. By preparing meals from scratch, ensuring that every single dish is made with love and with the freshest, most whole ingredients, no additives, really eliminating as many preservatives. This dedication to scratch cooking not only enhances the nutritional value of meals, but delivers that taste and quality our patients deserve, right? It's about honoring the natural goodness of the ingredients what we're providing to our patients. So, since we cook from scratch, our process does not involve hot holding. We prepare the meal, we ensure that we cook from scratch, and that once that meal is prepared, it's quickly placed on the carts to be delivered direct to the floors. Now, traditional models and even room service models, you will find that they require warming equipment where food may have to be prepared a bit in advance, held on steam tables, and then put into a cart to be delivered and then hot held again. And then eventually it gets to the patient, right? So imagine what happens to the nutrition quality and the integrity with this process. So, what I want to share, and I think that this is really fun. So, I first want to encourage you, if you've got your cell phone with you, I want you to pull it out. And as you're going to see, there's QR codes shown on this slide. And the one directly in the middle of the screen, right above the far right column of the menu, is an example of our full real food patient menu. So you'll be able to get some visibility into how we structure that. It's important to know that all patients that we serve, including all those on diet restrictions, have the ability to order off this particular menu, really because we serve real food. Using these fresh ingredients, along with fresh herbs and fresh spices for flavor, without having to incorporate sodium, additives, things of that nature, sugar, it allows patients to have the variety they deserve despite being on a therapeutic or restricted diet. Just to know, there's a stark difference between cooking from real food and using prefabricated or ultra processed ingredients. Think about ultra processed or prefabricated items. They have high levels of added sugars, fats, sodium, additives, preservatives. And honestly, what this does is it restricts or it eliminates so many options for the patients. Ultra processed foods specific to low sodium diets result in tasteless meals that you really can't enjoy. I don't know if any of you have tried them, but a commercial low sodium version of base or stock is extremely tasteless. What we use is we actually cook stock direct from bones. Beef bones, chicken bones. We actually create this beautiful stock with vegetables and all sorts of flavors. And you know what that allows us to do? Is it allows us the versatility to be able to offer it to all of our patients. So when you open up, I hope you all have the menu up, you're going to see small little hearts, little crosses with circles around them. These are indicators that the food items are appropriate for, and I believe that, and the hearts are for heart healthy, and the other symbol that I shared was that of renal diets. You will see that they're colored all over that menu. We're proud that we can create a menu that ensures our patients can enjoy without feeling restricted. It's a game changer. It really is. So then next, just to move along, and we're going to talk a little bit more about real food alternative supplements, but there's a QR code there, and I don't want you to miss it. And it is a sample of a recipe. And actually, our host today, Liz Oba, helped us create this beautiful equivalent alternative to a nutrition commercial supplement. And we wanted to share that recipe with you today. We're also going to get into a little bit more with pureed diets here momentarily. First off, when we talk about house-made nutrition, we've done a comparison side to side. We at Thomas Cuisine know that we really want to remove all of those items that are ultra processed. These traditional commercial supplements that we've used for years really are processed. Supplements such as Ensure Drink are not only ultra high processed, but they contain a lot of corn syrup. Believe it or not, and many of you, I'm sure, on this call have read all about the FDA's ban of red dye number 3. Ensure plus strawberry, which is in many of our hospitals today. We actually, as Thomas Cuisine, are working to get ahead of that and remove the red dye 3 way in advance of the ban. But Strawberry Ensure Plus contains red dye number 3. So just more reason to move towards house-made nutritional supplements. When you look at the comparables, Liz did a beautiful job being able to truly make a nutritionally sound supplement from scratch that can replace that of Ensure Plus. I believe it's a pumpkin flavored. It was for the fall. But if you look at this, what was really, as a dietitian to me, you can see it's equivalent in calories and protein, but where it gets really significant to me is more so the carbohydrate count, because oftentimes hospitals will even have to bring in glucerna or other alternatives to be able to meet the carb needs of a diabetic. This house-made supplement, look at the difference there, 47 to 28. The other thing you'll notice, which we know is good for overall health, glycemic control, is the fact that this supplement contains fiber and the others don't. So anyhow, please make sure that you pull that supplement recipe, try it. We encourage you to do that. And we're excited to explore this even further as a company. So what we're going to do now is when we talk about really making sure that real food, that our patients aren't restricted, we provide variety, we provide dignity. It's not just about therapeutics. It is about how can we incorporate real food and be able to nourish those with dignity that are on mechanical soft diets or pureed. And so what I'd love to do is have Liz tee up a video here that we'd love to share, which is a chef named Seth Bostic from Thomas Cuisine.
So today, I had a chance to work with a gentleman from Rubicon Foods, and we came up with a real-time, all-in-minute shaping protein mix. So it adds nutrient value, protein, fat, calories to your proteins, allows you to puree all the recipes that you created, add the protein mix to it, put it into a shaping mold real-time, and put it onto your own plate with your own vegetables, with your own starch that you've made from scratch, with love, with your local sustainable ingredients, with your sauce that is mounted with butter and is nice and shiny and full of flavor, and you're able to bring it down to them and take this person that has a life and has had a life and give them a smile back on his face. There is zero limit to your creativity. If you see it, you can make it. And you can make it look exactly like what you want. You want to have a birthday cake? Make a birthday cake. You want to have a breakfast pastry? You want to have a cinnamon roll? Roll your bread out. Make a cinnamon roll. You can do whatever you want. That's the best thing about this. You provide the flavors, the aroma, the color, the shine. It's all done. It's right there. And then when you're done, you can manipulate it and change it to any form that you desire. And your guest will love it.
Oh, every time I get the goosebumps on that video because as a dietitian, I've worked with so many patients who've had to be on mechanical diets and really, had to be on for their safety pureed foods. And to see this come to life and to be able to nourish and give them normalcy is just, gosh, it hits me every time. But I do want to also bring your attention to, we have some comparables here. So again, this is made with fresh ingredients, real food, flavors from the earth, and not processed, not high in sodium. That's what that really hits me. Let's take a look. Look at the prefabricated chicken, just to draw your attention to the nutritionals there. Look at the sodium difference between buying a prefabricated pureed product to being able to prepare this pureed food with dignity, with presentation, and reduce the sodium to 121 milligrams for that serving. That's amazing. And then drawing your attention to the green beans. Gosh, I mean, looking at that in itself, the total fat, 13 to 6 grams. When you think of a vegetable, you typically don't think necessarily of always having to have high fat. Now, I will say many of our patients on pureed foods, we know they need more calories. But what it allows us is if a patient doesn't necessarily need those added calories, our green beans traditionally in this pureed format are, where they should be. If we need to add additional caloric intake, we need to add a little butter or we need to add some cream, we can do just that and make sure that the calorie level gets where it should be. So you can see up in the right, I just love showing visuals, but up in the right-hand corner, you're going to see a plating of what whole solid food looks like to a comparable there of a pureed dish. So just great work here on our pureed platform, which very excited. So before we get started with the teaching kitchen, what I want to just tell you first is that we've gone through the in-hospital patient service delivery model, the 3 pillars of real food, multidisciplinary collaboration, and then that of the patient experience. But what we see now and in the future is it's got to go beyond the walls of the hospital. And so we have really leaned into what we call Cultivate, which is a teaching kitchen. And I'm going to talk a little more about it. But before we do that, we've got another poll. So Liz, if you would kindly pull up another poll and poll the group, that would be great.
You got it, Lynn. 10, 12. Okay, so we're getting a pretty decent split between A, twice as likely to adhere to their diet, or C, 3 times as likely to adhere to their diet. It's almost right down the middle with no other choices.
Yep. And so thank you. So the actual answer to that is patients given this dietary, when they give their dietary prescription and they learn in a way where it's hands-on kitchen-based teaching, they're 3 times more likely to adhere to their diet. So thank you for sharing that, Liz. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you a little bit about it. While continuing to focus on and influence the healing, providing education beyond discharge, going beyond diet or standard diet education, I should say, and extending the continuity of care beyond, teaching kitchens such as Cultivate have proven to create actual behavioral change in patients. What this does is it takes them from their care in the hospital, their discharge instruction, and then we bring them into this engaging environment where they can bring their family in, they can learn about diet, they can learn about how they can prepare things at home. It's really a fun experience. We're going to show you a video here in just a second, but it really does help bridge that gap between the hospital care and home life. And our hope is, and the stats are starting to come in on this, that it really does help reduce those readmissions within 30 days. And of course, generally helps make our communities healthier. So I believe the next slide is another beautiful video that we'd like to share. Thank you, Liz. And so for me, when I think about teaching, I haven't practiced dietetics in a very long time, but I still believe in making sure that knowledge is power. And really, you have to identify multiple venues of ways to communicate change, way to educate, whether it be written, verbal, repetitive nature, teaching, hands-on. We have to embody all of that if we really want to enact change. So I encourage all of you, if you aren't currently leaning into education post-discharge in a non-traditional way, I encourage you to reach out. We're certainly happy to help you with that, or guide you in the right direction. It's really important for patient outcomes. So moving on, we're getting towards the end of the presentation, but I did want to talk briefly about a couple of future strategies. Now, I don't want to say that yet we are fully vetted and completely have built out a program here. We are starting with pilot sites, and we are really leaning into other strategies that can help also that continuity of care. I think that it might be a teaser for a future webinar as far as really being able to focus on medically tailored meals and produce prescriptions. But I would be remiss not to kind of talk through a little bit of what that looks like. So medically tailored meals really provides extended care beyond the walls of a hospital. These meals are intended to provide more comprehensive therapy for people who could benefit from improved nutrition, from, to heal, disease prevention. These meals typically follow a prescribed diet, and for the most part, are probably most likely provided in a ready-to-eat fashion post-discharge. Some hospitals and medical communities are offering this or would like to offer this during a healing period post-discharge, while others are really looking at the community and what can be offered for the general community to help build health, particularly based on if they have diet restrictions or there's certain needs for their nutrition in order to prevent them from needing care within an inpatient setting. Produce prescriptions, on the other hand, allow health professionals to identify patients at risk. It could be based on diet-related health conditions. Sometimes it's based on income levels, certainly focusing on medical conditions like diabetes, heart disease, obesity. These vouchers, they're like, instead of getting a prescription for a med to go to the pharmacy to get your medicine, it's literally a prescription for produce or for whole foods that may have a voucher or some sort of monetary value that can be used at participating grocers, markets, CSAs. And so really trying to help a bit of that food insecurity when we talk about food as medicine. This is where we in the healthcare world really need to focus our attention on also serving our communities at large and not just getting someone well and then discharging and most likely seeing a repeat admission. So anyhow, more to come on this. I do think that it would be worthy of its own talk. But all in all, at the end of this talk today, I have a slide here and I call it Bridging the Gap. I think we as partners, as a food provider, and our healthcare clients, we've got to set the tone for positive health. We have to be the example. Patients come to us and they look to us as being, what do I need to do to be healthy? So I always think about this. There's an old saying, you are what you eat. And this holds so much more significance more now than ever before. The influence that we all can make by rethinking our patient dining model and the food model beyond the walls of the hospital can make such a huge impact if it's done well. We embrace whole, unprocessed foods focused on patient-centered care. We stress the value of the multidisciplinary approach to care. And I think together, all of us on this call, we're obviously here because we're interested and we want to make a difference. We possess the potential to not only prevent and cure disease, but also improve the patient experience, which ultimately, at the end of the day, will help curtail medical expense, keep our hospitals in a healthy position, enhance lives, and promote longevity. So to conclude, at least the slide deck portion of this, we do have another poll that we would like to send out to the group. So please get ready. And Liz, if you want to tee that poll up, that would be fantastic. Okay. Oh, 17. Oh, gosh, this is great.
17. All right, there we go.
Okay.
It looks like our
And
top response is, oh, we're still going. The top response is B, skill level and staff training. And then coming in at 15% each is A, budgetary constraints, or D, integration with existing systems.
awesome. And it doesn't surprise me. And actually, I anticipated the skill level and staff training, and you are all right. This cannot happen day one. It is a process that evolves, that we have to actually really work on process systems, resources, in really making sure that we provide the time and the energy and training properly. And over time, we will get there. But this is certainly not an overnight fix or an expectation that can happen right out of the gate. So it's definitely a partnership with your food leaders, with your multidisciplinary caregivers, and just the hospital at large, as far as really working to evolve with this process, because training is key, and it's what will bring you success in your program overall.
Mhm.
So I personally want to thank you, and I know that Liz has some parting thoughts, and then certainly I'm not sure if there's been anything in the chat, but we can certainly see if we can answer questions if they've been presented. So thank you so much. A pleasure having you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lynn. And I have been checking the chat. I don't see anything that's come through right now, but I will leave it open as I kind of do my closing remarks. And if any questions come up, we would be more than happy to answer them for you. But thank you so much, Lynn. The content you shared today, it really was refreshing. And I'm sure so many on this call hopefully have become inspired to maybe revisit their patient care model, or maybe use their QR codes to take away some of the information we've provided. So on this final slide, you will see one more QR code, and that will take you to Thomas Cuisine's website in case you're interested in learning just a little bit more about what we do or some of our approaches to the things that Lynn discussed today. Another option is you can either email Lynn or myself if you do have any questions, if you think of something after this webinar is finished. But again, we will be sending out the presentation, the slide deck, and a survey because we would love your feedback. And I haven't seen anything come into the chat. So we will go ahead and give you a little bit of time back today. And we really appreciate everyone's attendance today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.